Folks, today I want to share with you a story that is coming out of my state, the state of Virginia, involving the Virginia Department of Corrections. Another black eye for the Department of Corrections, which is crazy because it's through the Department of Corrections, the Virginia Department of Corrections, how many times can I say that, and their Facebook page that I actually run across what I'm getting ready to share with you. Another major drug bust taking place in a Virginia prison, and the way that that pack was getting brought in was through a correctional officer, which in most cases is probably how the pack is getting in. Visitation and your loved ones, your girl bringing that to you is probably not anywhere near as easy as it used to be back in the day, especially like when I was in prison and even before then. You know, back in the day, prison was a totally different animal. Nowadays, I don't even recognize you anymore, prison. There's so much cell phone video coming out of prisons these days, with prisoners having so much more access to those cell phones, whereas back in the day when I served time, you know, prisoners used to keep those phones on the low. Nobody knew who had a phone. You was talking to your girl on that cell phone underneath the blankets. Nowadays, dudes got the phone wide open out in the day room. They're filming lip sync music videos. I'm seeing blood gang members doing lip sync challenges and music videos to Breaking Benjamin. What happened, prison? You changed up on me. You used to be a place that was feared. Now you're looking a lot more like America's Got Talent or American Idol. Have you seen the video with those gang members doing like the rock and roll music videos? They're like jumping off the top tier. I can't even think of any lyrics to a Breaking Benjamin song right this second. But where I was really trying to go with all of that is, again, you know, back in the day, man, you had people throwing Nerf footballs over the fence. Your girl was coming up into the visitation room with that shit strapped to her stomach like some kilos, going through the airport like that movie Blow. Whoa, Black Betty. Whoa, Black Betty. Bam, ba-lam. It ain't like that no more. Nowadays, the only way the contraband seems to be getting in is you got to have you a guard. Somebody on the take. Somebody willing to risk it all for the biscuit all, and it actually seems like there's quite a few of those. The pay as a correctional officer can't be so great, and the lucrative nature, the risk worth the reward type thing, most certainly is there and is high, with the fact that so many guards and so many stories like this are taking place. So many guards are doing this, which is leading to stories like this taking place. Let's go ahead and get into this post. This is actually on the Virginia DOC website. So pretty crazy. It's a news release, and it says 3 arrested, more than $300,000 in drugs seized in multi-agency investigation into smuggling at Greensville Correctional Center. Greensville is the largest prison in the state of Virginia, housing more than 3,000 prisoners. I believe a small city is what Greensville is like. Greensville is a level 3, might be a level 3-4, might be a level 2-3. I can't remember. But Greensville is definitely where it goes down with such an influx and such a large population of prisoners. You got to imagine any and everything is taking place at Greensville. Now, just as crazy and shocking as this story is, the comments on the Facebook post don't disappoint neither. We're going to talk about those as well. 3 people were arrested and more than $300,000 in drugs were seized by the Virginia Department of Corrections. They say $300,000 worth of drugs were seized. We're probably talking about an 8-ball, for God's sakes. I don't know if it's better to inflate the numbers for shock factor or for clicks, or if we're talking about street value versus prison value, because that prison value and those prison metrics certainly are a lot more inflated than what you would be paying for things out in the free world. $300,000 in drugs were seized by the Virginia Department of Corrections and partner law enforcement agencies after a now former correctional officer and his associates were caught in a drug smuggling investigation at Greensville Correctional Center. On Saturday, March the 1st, VA DOC Office of Law Enforcement Services special agents received information from Greensville Correctional Center that Xavier Campbell, then a correctional officer at Greensville, was telling others he had received payment for smuggling contraband into the prison. Xavier, former correctional officer, what you doing, stick man? You know, we live in a day and age where things are just different. Everything is being filmed. People would rather pull their phones out and hit record than to help administer aid to somebody in distress. Oh shit, that's viral right there. Look at Stickman about to get ran over by the train. Forget trying to help him. Let me record that shit. The world is different these days, folks. So it doesn't surprise me reading something like this where a then former correctional officer, and the reason why he got busted is because of his own dumbass self. You running around telling folks, yeah, man, hey, they paying me $14 an hour to be a guard, but I just made $1,400 bringing the pack in. Who did he tell? Did he tell his constituents, his coworkers, other correctional officers? You just put some stripes on somebody's arms, buddy. You done turned a rookie into a freaking sergeant. Xavier, what you doing? You did what now? Oh, shit, stick man. Hey, abracadabra. They say that Xavier was running his mouth, and that's how this investigation got opened up. But I wonder if it was to his coworkers, which I don't think that it was. It sounds more plausible that he was probably running his mouth to other prisoners. You know, because sometimes you got these guards who want to be in the streets so bad. Almost like a Rick Ross type of a situation. You want to be in the streets so bad, or like portray that, like you're an actor basically. By talking about these things, maybe it makes you feel like you're one of them. You're a prisoner too, but really you're a guard. I remember when I was serving time, you had guards, one particular guard who used to say that he was a Crip, which was a scary freaking thing to think about because you had a lot of Crips in the jail. So you got a guard who's running around banging blue, and I don't know if there was any truth to that, you know, but that's what he said he was affiliated with. How can you be a Crip and a correctional officer? It's like vodka and milk. I don't think those two things are going to mix too well, or like water and oil, something along those lines. Xavier Campbell, a former correctional officer, was one of three people who was busted and arrested in this $300,000 drug seizure. And the reason why is because he told on himself. Special agents approached Campbell, who admitted to smuggling items into the facility on multiple occasions in exchange for payment. Hey, remind me never to commit any crime with Xavier. This dude can't hold water. This dude is going to fold under pressure like a lawn chair. Campbell consented to a search of his person and vehicle. You dummy. Shit, yeah, you can search it. Hey, search the car. There ain't nothing in there. Several packages were found containing a large variety of contraband, including buforine, naloxone, methamphetamine, fentanyl, marijuana, and tobacco. Hey, buddy was like a pharmacy out there in the web. This bitch was the ice cream man drug dealer. He was like the little variety packs of the cereal. He had everything that you wanted. You didn't have to eat the same cereal day in and day out. You could do meth one day and a Suboxone strip the next. This shit crazy, man. That's a federal charge. You get pulled over out here in the free world driving a car, and they find a variety pack of drugs on you and saying a large quantity at that. Man, the feds is picking this shit up, and they probably going to pick this up too. Buddy, you wanted to be in the streets so bad. You there now. You wanted to be one of them so bad, one of the prisoners. You about to be one now. Maybe this is exactly what your ambition in life was. This is just insanity to me. No disrespect to anybody in law enforcement or any correctional officers who may watch these videos, but you know, just like anything else, you've got some dumbass guards. You got dumbass people all throughout all walks of life. I'll never forget one of the most profound statements that I ever heard while I was in prison was made by this guy during count time when count couldn't clear And the reason they couldn't clear the count was because they couldn't get the count right. When all you got to do is just walk through going 1, 2, 3. And then they take those numbers and they add those numbers with the next cell block or housing unit. And then all of those numbers get combined, which should ultimately equal the grand total, which is how many people are supposed to be in the institution or jail at any given time. And when those numbers don't add up to the number that it's supposed to be, you can't clear count. And when you can't clear count, you've got to recount. And when a recount occurs, it's a major inconvenience. You got to stand up for count anyways. You know, if it's nighttime and you're ready to go to sleep, you're standing there. And sometimes they got to recount 2 or 3, maybe even more times. Shit could take 30 plus minutes if they can't clear the count. So it was one of those type of situations where count couldn't clear and they calling for recount and they're calling for recount and it's count after count. And this guy standing next to me, can't remember who it was, just made this comment in passing. And he said, you know, these guards are dumb as a bitch. So dumb, in fact, that if you took the brain and put it in a bird, that bitch would fly backwards. And when I heard that, I thought to myself, I was like, damn, you took a brain from a correctional officer and you put it in a bird. And that brain of that correctional officer is so dumb that if you put that brain in the bird, that bitch gonna fly backwards. God! Hey, man, that is a bar. Send that shit to 1090 Rugrat. That's a bar right there. They searched Buddy's car. They found all sorts of drugs. And they said that shit was valued at more than $300,000. In quotations, they also say prison value. Special agents identified the name of Campbell's source of supply and scheduled a meeting locally. Holy shit. Xavier straight up told on the plug. They did an undercover sting operation. They probably had Xavier call the guy. Call him. Call him right now. Do it. Get us some more. Of course he did it. Greensville County Sheriff's Office and the Southampton County Sheriff's Office identified the vehicle being driven by Campbell's source and initiated a traffic stop. Willie Gamble, who was recently released from VA DOC custody, and an accomplice, Erica Randolph, were inside the car, which contained a stolen firearm and a package of contraband similar to the one found in Campbell's car. Oh, when the dominoes start to fall. Gosh almighty, man. Hey, look, man, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if your weakest link is a correctional officer that is going to run his mouth inside, yeah, hey, I'm bringing the pack in. I'm bringing it in. Yeah. Hey, I'm TTG, trained to go. And then when you approach this guy and you ask him about it, he folds immediately. Hey, yes, I did it. I did it. Go check my car right now. There's more out there. You want me to make a phone call? I'll call Buddy, old Willie Gamble, who just recently got released. Certainly not adding to certainly is adding to those recidivism numbers, unfortunately. Willie went right back out into the streets, got him that dope boy starter pack, and gosh almighty, it just didn't work out. You know, while you're on the inside, and if you are involved in the illicit activities, you know, such as the drug game or any kind of contraband, it is a fantasy. It's got to be one that, you know, when you get released, what if you could keep that going? Forget selling dope to common folk out here in the street. Man, let's get that dope back into the prison. You already know how much that shit's going for. 2-3 times the amount it goes for out here in the streets. We could get rich super quick. All we need is a guard. Somebody who's down. Boy, Xavier was not that guy. So when I go to the comments on this post on Facebook, this woman would comment and say, y'all need to bust those sex rings too. Some of these COs are ruthless. They're selling more than drugs. The comment section on this post ain't nothing but a straight tip line. But mentioning the guards selling more than just drugs, as they say, yeah, that was certainly something that I had heard about. A little bit of an urban legend. I never saw it personally. Guards who were ladies of the night, so to speak. But I will never forget when I got to Indian Creek, they told me they used to tell stories about how Indian Creek used to be and how off the chain that it was. Yeah, it was way more strict back in the day. So strict you couldn't even have coffee or sodas. You couldn't have no caffeine there, speaking of which. They say back in the day, Indian Creek used to be so strict you didn't even want to be there. But there was also some good at the same time as well, I guess. And even with the fact that it was so strict, you had a lot more women working there who were down for the cause, I guess you could say. You know, they were down, and I would hear stories of money orders in exchange for certain favors, which is crazy to think about. Sounds like that type of stuff is still taking place with the way that this person just put it out there in this Facebook post. What about the one at River North, this other person says? Y'all keeping that on the low, huh? A couple of people like that comment, so don't know what's going on with that. Another person would comment and say, now do it in Sussex. They found a pound of marijuana in housing unit 3-4 in 2021. Jesus Christ. We're talking about something that happened 4 years ago. I'm sure there's a statute of limitations probably in relation to this. And they never charged anyone or found out who brought it in. That's crazy. Never heard anything about it neither. I wonder how many times, and maybe more times in the past, was it a thing that they would find large amounts of drugs and, hey, let's just keep that shit on the low. Or something takes place in the prison or jail and we just keep it on the low because it's going to be a black eye for the department or for the facility. Anyways, that's about it. Most of these other comments are just great job, kudos, shocking, awesome work, keep up the good work, things like that. Folks, that's all I got. I got to go ahead and wrap this video up, get ready for the day. And hope this was a story that you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about this. Crazy to think that, you know, this whole operation got brought down by a silly ass guard who really didn't even have no business being a guard. But this guy wasn't really built for correctional work. Surely hope he's built for being a prisoner, though, because that's what he is about to be now. Anyways, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did so, please leave a like and a comment on this, letting me know exactly what you thought about this. And as always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!